Welcome to Integrity Inspire, your daily dose of inspiration and motivation, featuring the bright and talented members of the Integrity Marketing Group family. Now, here's your host, Integrity co-founder and CEO, Brian W. Adams.
Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining today's Inspire podcast. I'm so excited for you to meet one of the most inspirational couples I've ever met. And it's very rare that I do a podcast like this and I want to be standing up because of the level of excitement and the way that I want to be able to show you everything that these guys do. And I'm incredibly honored to welcome my good friends, Matt and Sheena Sapaula, to the podcast. They've got an incredible business here in Dallas, Texas, called MoneySmartMovement, or MSM. And what they're building and how they're attracting new people into this industry and being able to serve underserved communities all across the country is something that I know you're going to be so inspired by. So Matt and Sheena, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Honored to be here. Thank you.
Listen, the very moment, there's some people that when you meet them, you just go, man, those are my people and I just got to be around them more. And you guys are that for me. I remember the first time I got to know y'all. I remember what you were wearing. I remember like you're dropping truth bombs everywhere. Don't you have a nickname for her on that?
We call her Hero Sheena.
Hero
That's
Sheena.
when she's out to
She drops the bombs.
She dropped the truth bombs. That's right.
I read an article that you wrote in one of the industry advisor network magazines. You were dropping truth bombs about the importance of what we do. I mean, what you guys are just like inspire me. And so we met through PHP and Patrick Bet-David.
Yes.
And what you guys have built there, how y'all have taken it to the next level, is something that I think we need to do a better job of telling that story to the American public and to the industry, but also recruiting people into this industry. And how you guys recruit just blows my mind. It truly does. But the thing I love about the culture at MSM and PHP, I just love the culture, period.
Yeah.
But one of the things I love is y'all's chants.
Come on, let's go.
And so this is why I don't even want to sit down. So one of the things that at the big convention, you might have 20,000 people, literally, but 4,000 of them are with Matt and Sheena. And MSM has this chant that says, too wide, too deep, we can't be beat. I said too wide, too deep, we can't be beat. And people are like 4,000 people. It is so catchy. 4,000 people chanting that and losing their mind. And the idea of too wide, too deep, this is like fundamental in the recruiting game.
That's right.
Explain what that means.
It's a business philosophy. If you constantly are open up options for yourself, adding new talent to the mix, creating new doors that you need to turn and get through. And then on top of that, when you get through them, go deep in those opportunities, go deep in those relationships. And then if you find yourself in an area of limitation, it's really a chant of just having abundance and tapping into that abundance that somebody out there you're about to touch. You're about to touch lives in a very, very impactful way. And that's where you can't be beat.
Yeah, you gotta recruit a lot of people. You gotta go really deep with those relationships and have them recruiting more people.
That's right.
How did y'all come up with that chant?
Patrick always challenges us with one word. What's a business philosophy? What's your biggest outcome? And we're coming to like 2 claps and Ric Flair. Whoa, but that's Ric Flair's.
I know.
Right? And then it's like, okay, well, what can we do? Because that's part of it too. But when you just said, you know what, the most important thing for us, what's your problem? Go wide. Stop complaining. Go wide. Have you built any depth in that relationship? Go deep in that relationship. So anytime there's an area of frustration, instead of complaining, blaming, and feeling that you are out of control of the situation, it's okay, get it back together and go wide.
That is so true. That is the business that we're in. And it is just true no matter how you want to look at the business. And I love the fact when you go to one of these events, and I wish everybody could come to one of these events. Unfortunately, there's no place to hold. I mean, you guys are going to have to open up like AT&T Stadium or something in the future, right? It's got to be the future.
Well, I think our progression was in Vegas. It was the Rio, and then now we're at the MGM Grand. Then it's going to be the T-Mobile Hockey Arena, and then it's going to be Allegiant Stadium. So that's kind of that's the preview. Let's go.
Like I can't wait to be there for that.
Come on,
and it needs to happen now. Like we should we should be there faster. You've got the best solutions, the best opportunity in the world. How did you guys get into the insurance business?
Oh, goodness. I think you started.
So
way before I did.
Sure. So it was my 7th year in the Marines. I was going through a divorce. I wish I could tell you a better story, but that was my scenario. And, a retired master sergeant bumped into me in the bathroom of a Best Buy and started asking me about my next career decisions. Of all things, I don't know.
You're like, give me a second.
Exactly. I was like, if you don't know a strange dude in the bathroom, come on, fellas. You know, not talking to a strange guy in the bathroom. But he noticed my haircut. He noticed the way I was walking. And he says, hey, excuse me, are you a Marine? I said, I am. He says, listen, what are you going to do for the rest of your career? I said, I'm going to be a lifer. Even though at that time I was a single dad, went through bankruptcy. I was going through major crisis in my life. But I said, I'm a lifer because that's what we're programmed to do. And he asked me 3 questions. He says, you like money? I said, yes. He says, you like a lot of money? I said, absolutely. I said, listen, well, tell me the rules of the money game if you know about money so much. I'm like, well, I'm with the Marines. I said, you don't know the money game. If I can show you the rules of the money game so you can win the money game, would you be open to a conversation? And so that's how I initially got in.
Hard to say no to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the first 12 years of my 25-year career in the insurance business was just solo producer, just a one-man operation, buying leads, doing dinner seminars.
Yeah. And then you saw him doing that, or how did you get into it?
Honestly, by fate. So I was in Chicago. That's where he's from. And I was at my current job. And one of my hospitals was the same hospital his mom was a nurse at.
Oh,
Filipino. Her mother's a nurse.
Of course. So I got to meet him and his mom at the same time.
Oh.
Yeah. So in 2012, I met him. And I said, you're in insurance? And it was so weird because I never thought about it. My background.
Why did you say you're in insurance?
My image, by not even realizing it, my subconscious image pictured older male Caucasian.
Guys like me.
Yes.
Balding, overweight, male Caucasian.
I did not use those extras.
You looked at me. I saw the way you looked at me, Sheena. That's cool. You dropped a Hiroshima on me.
True bomb right there. Boom. Right on Inspire Podcast.
But his image shattered what I thought.
I agree.
So I always say this.
As does yours.
Well, to be honest with you, he gave me some intrigue on it because of how he talked to his licensed agents, his teams. I was like, oh, this is fun because it reminded me of sports. And I said, let me try this out. Let me try this out. And then the rest is history.
That is awesome. I was just interviewed by a CEO magazine, and the guy literally started out saying, how did you get in the insurance business? And I said the same thing, like, no one wakes up going, like my kids want to be like Patrick Mahomes and
Right.
like, I mean, who my youngest son, like I hate to break it to him, there's no chance. His favorite basketball player right now is Giannis. Antetokounmpo or whatever. Have you seen that movie Rise?
Yes.
I'm gonna give you a movie recommendation that you got to take right now, called Rise, and it's about the Greek freak and his family. And I can't say the name very well. Antetokounmpo, the Milwaukee.
I'm not good.
Yeah.
So we just watched him play here in Dallas, and he's a grown man.
He's massive.
He would make you look small. Like 6'6".
Yeah.
He is so big, but he's such a good guy.
Yeah.
He almost form tackled Luka, and afterwards he's like helping him get up. And I was like, and I pointed that out to my son, like, Shide, like, look how nice he is too. But that story, they grew up so poor, and they couldn't have they didn't have enough tennis shoes, right? So they had to share tennis shoes.
Wow.
So one of them would play and then wait for the other one to take off his shoes, put them on. Now, three of the boys are playing in the NBA, and it's just an amazing inspirational story. Say for your kids, I would recommend it to anybody. In fact, I watched it twice. I want to watch it a third time. But like my kids want to be like Giannis or Patrick Mahomes. The problem is they didn't get the right genes for that. But I guarantee they don't want to be an insurance salesman right now. But this is such a great business of serving people. And speaking of athletes and how you relate to athletics, you were a D1 athlete. You played softball for Pitt, right?
Yes.
University of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so Pitt was probably the best experience I've ever had because in our position of softball, that was my sport, and I played shortstop. And growing up, I always thought to myself, would it be an awesome experience if I got a scholarship to college? So I played sports all year round. And kudos to my mom because she did a lot of, raising money for me to go to travel ball. And I got the attention of the University of Pittsburgh. Now, at the time, I had no clue where Pittsburgh was.
Well, you were in California.
I was
right?
in California where there's sun there, and you don't go to snow.
Sacramento. Yeah.
Yes, so Pittsburgh, of course, is a lot of snow. But little did I know that was really part of the bigger plan. So I knew God wanted me to go over to the East Coast, went to the East Coast, and I played there all 4 years, started the day I was there to the day that I left.
And Brian, she just got enshrined at her high school's Hall of Fame. So she's pretty, she's the goods.
Can you still play?
Oh, yes, and we do. We do, and I turn into a different person.
I bet you do.
Oh, yeah, it's fun.
I learned early on not to piss off a girl that can run and swing a bat.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And if you outrun her, she's going to throw something to hit you in the
She'll
head.
gun you down.
Oh, my gosh. That is awesome.
Well, I feel like, especially in this industry, it's what we do is really team-oriented.
Yeah.
A lot of the dynamics of athletes and what they do to win championships, you can apply it here.
Oh, 100%. There's so many great sports analogies.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the team atmosphere. And you served our country. You mentioned you are a Marine.
Get some.
Listen,
Semper Fi.
So my dad's a Marine.
Is that right?
And if you say he was a Marine,
Correct.
Boy,
In fact,
my dad. I told this before. My dad, not too long ago, had some health issues going on, and he was in the hospital, and then he had to go to a rehab facility to kind of regain his strength. And man, it's sad to watch. Like the strongest man in your life.
Yeah.
Who could lift a car before, now he's like struggling even on a walker. Like he's too proud to use a walker usually and stuff like that. But he struggles with that. But he got out of the rehab, and I go over to their house. I'm taking him some food, and I said, "Dad, we should go and they want you to do some walking." So we're walking down the block, and I get him his walker, and he's kind of shuffling around. And I said, "Have we gone far enough? You want to turn back?" And he wanted to go to the end of the block, and he goes, "No, I'm good. I want to go to the end of the block." And I said, "Dad, I think we should turn around." He goes, "I'm a Marine." Just like that. Like 79-year-old, I'm a Marine.
Always pushing it.
We're going there.
That's right. That's right.
He did it.
It's a mindset.
I love it. So
Yes.
how did you become a Marine? And tell us about that.
It was 17 years old, senior year in high school. I had no aspirations for college. I wasn't like her. I mean, between the two of us, Brian, she is the hotter, more athletic, smarter one between the two of us.
It's a good answer.
Yeah. Right? So I didn't have the little colleges were coming. I wasn't at a high school where they were looking for athletes. And if you saw me in high school, I was 6'2", maybe 130, 140 pounds. So I was very tall, very skinny. I was fast though. The thing I had, I was fast, and they lied on the roster that I was 6'2", 185, just so I wouldn't get crushed.
I love how they do that in high school, where they just like beef it up a bit.
And so 17 years old, I enlisted into the Marine Corps and turned 18 years old in boot camp. And I went to, my training as a helicopter mechanic in Millington, Tennessee. I went to door gunner school, and next thing I became a deployable Marine with the 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit. My first deployment within my first year. Not even turning 19 years old, I'm already headed to the Persian Gulf and come back, 3-month turnaround, go back to Operation Restore Hope in Somalia, Africa. So before I was even 21 years old, I was already on 2 combat deployments.
Wow.
So that was kind of like my life acceleration and appreciation of America and freedom.
Man, well, first of all, on behalf of all of us, thank you for your service.
I appreciate it.
I really wish we could all, I mean, everybody could serve, right? Most of us chose not to. Man, I think that teaches you something that you can't learn anywhere else. And like you said, the appreciation of just this country.
Yes.
I mean, just how great this country is. Like, I know we've got our problems.
Yeah, as any family does. Yeah.
But listen, man, like this country is the greatest country on earth, and there's nothing that compares against it. And we got to fight for that.
That's right.
In so many different ways. Now, I understood that the Marines really taught you how to overcome your fears. And I mean, going to 2 combat deployments. So, like, what was that like to overcome your fears, and what did you learn there?
Yeah, it's interesting. We're getting briefed by our lieutenant. Says, guys, before you go down to the ship's library and get your wills put together and get your life insurances put in force, because 30% of you guys aren't coming back. Imagine having a conversation like that. You're 18,
That's
19.
inspiring.
Yeah, it's just like, good. We're looking at each other like,
What's a will?
well, somebody write your last letter home. If there's something, tuck it away. If something happens to me, make sure you take this letter and you deliver it to my family. So it was those type of things. But it was in that moment where you had a job to do, and for every every Marine to the left and to the right, we weren't trusting each other for ourselves. We were trusting each other for one another. And so I think if I translate that to a business today, today the American military is having a hard time recruiting, but the Marines. And you have to wonder why, because a lot of other branches of service, that's my opinion, but a lot of branches of service will recruit you because they'll pay for your college or it's a job, et cetera. The Marines always recruited you to a cause. Marines always recruited you to a mission. They recruited you to a brand, the few, the good, the proud. Do you have what it takes? So those are the things that we recruit people to when recruiting people to the insurance industry. Yeah, because it's the intangible. It's just not helping you come to another insurance company. There's a lot of them out there, but you're coming to a team, you're coming to an organization of people that have values and principles and standards that's going to set you apart from where you were before, so you can get to where you want to go.
And we've got your back.
And we've got your back, 100%.
That's a big part of it. My wife and I just watched The Pacific.
Of course, it's great. Yeah.
So we watched Band of Brothers, and like those guys, man, they had it bad.
Yeah.
Then you watch Pacific, and you're like, the Marines were just a different caliber. And nothing to disrespect anybody else. And I loved what they said is trust your training and trust the man next to you.
That's right.
And there's so much truth to that. Like, you guys got to trust your training, trust the man next to you. And man, I thank you for your service, man. We could talk all day about what you learned through that and how you've applied that. But I love how you're also using that in business to recruit people to a purpose. For us, we talk about our core values a lot, our culture a lot, our purpose a lot. I'm not sure if there's many other businesses or industries that talk about purpose as much. And, for me, the insurance industry is one of the most noble businesses in the world. Like, we help people, whether it's in life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, or other. We help people in some of the toughest times of their lives, and we help them plan for the good days ahead. And if we can really illustrate that to people that aren't thinking about getting into this industry and really tie them into that purpose, we just got to do a better job of that, right?
Right.
And so when you're graduating college, like you were, coming out, so that you go, man, that's something that might be interesting to me. But now for you, you're coming out of college, you play 4 years. Is there professional softball for women?
There is. There is.
Was there an opportunity for that?
No. I knew I knew college was my last stop, and then it was kind of filling that void.
Yeah.
Because as an athlete for that long, it just doesn't go away.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So
it's funny you say that. Steve Young's a good friend of mine. He hurt his back not too long ago, and he was like, "Oh man, whatever." I go, "What'd you do, Steve?" And he was like, "I was running sprints out at the field, and I just kind of hurt my back." I'm like, "You're running sprints, bro?" But he's like, "It doesn't go away." To your point, so you left college and went to like a Fortune 100 company, right? And,
yes.
And tell us about that.
The company was great, and I was living in Kalamazoo, Michigan. That's where they're headquartered. And I was like, okay, great. We were planning for this convention for the Salesforce. And so we go to this convention, and I see the Salesforce being paraded and recognized and living a lifestyle. And I said, oh, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I said, I want that position. And so I asked my manager, can I interview? And I was going to go either to the South or to Chicago. And I landed the position in Chicago, where this gentleman happened to be.
That's when you met
That's
the
when
mom?
I met. Oh, yeah.
So were you selling product in the hospital
I
and you
was.
met his mom?
Oh, yes, I was.
And she's like, I got somebody for you. How did that happen?
Well, I think his mom was nonchalant about it. She thought it was just her son being her son. And she didn't know how serious our connection was until later. And so I knew the wound care nurse at that hospital. So she would say, Cindy Montgomery, she would say, Ronnie, I think your son and Sheena might be an item soon. And little did we all know, it happened to be.
That week was Nurses Week. That was that we met, and I was doing my signature 5 gotchas of money presentation. How to avoid the 5 gotchas of money. 4 or 5 of them are dealing with insurance and annuities. But nonetheless, we made it into a book. It became a best-selling book. But that was something that I was discussing, and she's selling hospital beds, and then we just got together, and that's when she just got intrigued in terms of what I was doing for a living.
Because they showed me selling skills at Stryker.
Right.
Like, you have to go in there, make friends, figure out who does what, who makes what decision. I learned so many great skills.
I bet.
So I was a salesperson, but then going into this industry, I wanted to transition to a sales leader. Like, I wanted to see if I can transfer my skill to somebody else and have that teamwork dynamic.
And you've done that at such a scale. And I know you guys are frankly frustrated that you're not further along, but
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
got
of course.
thousands of agents that look up to you as a leader, that you guys are inspiring every day. Like, I mean, you've got to kind of pinch yourself at some point. I know, like, I know you do, because I have to do it myself, like where you're just like, how is this possible? Like, you know, all those things that you've been working so hard on, and now you have that opportunity to give back and help other people see that success. Like, I know you guys have these big meetings. Like, you'll have a recruiting meeting. You'll have like 300 people or 400 people at a recruiting meeting.
Yeah.
Like, what is that like to tell people about this industry, and show, like, what is the pitch that you guys give somebody? So we got a lot of people who are, you know, we're already in the business, but a lot of us forgot what it took to recruit. When I got recruited, I was at Eddie Bauer in the mall because I wasn't good looking enough to be at Abercrombie and Fitch, right? So I'm at the South Plains Mall in Lubbock, Texas, folding like shirts and like putting them over here. And oh man, I was making $5.10 an hour. I hated every minute of it. Let's be straight. I was there. I was excited because I could eat at Chick-fil-A, because that's the only place you could eat it in the mall. But I would spend like an hour's worth of my pay eating Chick-fil-A, and I was like, well, I can't eat Chick-fil-A anymore because that defeats the purpose. I just spent an hour to eat, like, you know, it was $5.80 or something to eat, and I just made $5.10 before taxes. I'm like, that doesn't work. And then this guy came in, and he's like, man, you seem good with people. This is what I do. And I'm like, I grew up in a funeral home, man. I've always wondered why people don't plan for that. Yeah. And so he recruited me to come work with him. And that was door-to-door sales right after that. And it found my purpose, frankly. How do you guys tell people? So there's some kid like me in West Texas that's going to show up that's like, I don't really love this, and I don't want to do this for very much longer. How do you recruit them to inspire them like you can do this too?
You know, you just mentioned it, Brian, and I mentioned earlier, we are only one conversation away from somebody absolutely changing our life.
100%.
And so I find it as a great responsibility when I'm in a position to talk about the industry that we represent, the company that we're about, in the industry that we're a part of, that I have a responsibility to share, because a lot of people aren't living the life they want to live. You know, you look at to where America's at in terms of inflation. 57% of people today have a $1,000 emergency. They don't know where to get the $1,000 from. 57% of people are making $100,000 a year, living paycheck to paycheck. The average person here in Dallas making $60,000 a year can't buy the average $500,000 house in Dallas. You know, so these are things that are just keeping people poor and poor and poor. And then we can sit here and complain and blame and all that stuff. But in the meantime, before any politician or any policymaker makes any decision for us, we can make our decisions for us right now. I often say in our office, I don't care what goes on in the White House, although it's important, but I care more important what goes on in our house, in our kitchen table. And when presented with the reality of where people are at today, and then being able to be in a position, no matter how much money you've ever made in this business, but being able to relate to the $15, $20 an hour person, because I was there too. I never forget that. I was making $850 every 2 weeks in the military as a sergeant after 8 years of time in service, and wondering and willing to put my life on a line and take a bullet for this country for less than $30,000 a year. It wasn't because of the money. I'm recruiting not because of money. I'm recruiting because of purpose. I'm recruiting because I can have the power to transform someone's life. The heart of the Money Smart movement is that word, transform.
Man, I love that. Look, I think as an industry, we have to do more of what you're doing, right? And I say that to say, so my wife, Robin, she's not going to buy Louis Vuitton. She's not going to buy Gucci.
Sounds like me.
I bought a Samsonite for Christmas.
It's functional.
Yeah, look, Robin's not going to buy, as I like to say, Hermes or
Versace
or none of those channels. She's not going to buy. No,
Gucci.
No, she's not interested in that. You know what she will do? She'll buy something that has a purpose, that has a story behind it. Of this was made in Africa by, this basket was made in Africa by a group of women who were trying to get out of trafficking or being abused, right? Or this was, supported by a cause, right? I mean, that's why I think like Bombas, which is the underwear company that, if they buy one, they give one to homeless people. Tom's shoes, you buy one, you get, like those type of things, the purpose really behind it really matters. And the reality is there is no business in my, look, I've looked at a lot of business. I don't know of another business that has like the impact that we have.
That's right.
Socially and economically and otherwise, where we go in and we can transform, like you're talking about transform, where you can transform people's lives, right? And it became real to me when one of my best friends, he died in a tragic accident in February of 2016. And we're sitting there that night kind of dealing with the aftermath and like being with his family. And the next morning, his wife saying, we're going to lose everything. Like they had just built a new house. He was a technology executive and was a breadwinner. And she's like, we're going to lose everything. And I remember when they got married, probably 07, and I was like, hey, now you have responsibilities. You need to get life insurance and you need to talk to somebody. And he's like, I don't need life insurance. I don't why would I need life insurance? I was like, you need to talk to this guy and you need to get life insurance. And this guy was like a brother to me. I was like, you got to do something here. And by the grace of God, he bought that life insurance, and I knew he bought it, but I didn't know if they kept it. So I asked her that next morning, it's like, do you still have that life insurance policy? And she was like, I have no idea. Like, honestly, I have no idea. So we called up the company, and sure enough, they did, and they paid out $500,000 in death benefit immediately to them. To this day, she's still in that house.
Amen.
They're, the family's, gone through a lot. Now, did they need a zero on that? Absolutely. Would $5 million be a lot better? And could he have afforded it? Sure. Yes. But we need to be telling like those stories, and you guys know those stories where you can just point back to like the people who you're like, man, what we do really matters. And it has like lasting generational impact.
That's right.
And it's an opportunity to serve people like that, but it's also an opportunity to bring a former Marine that's coming out of, making $850, willing to take a bullet for us. And a third of the people that go into battle are concerned you're not going to make it home, and show them like, here's a new pathway, right? And here's a new purpose. Like there's just such a great, story that we've got to do a better job. And this isn't about affluent people. In fact, most of the people we serve are average people like you and me.
Joe's, right? Joe the plumbers.
Right?
Yeah.
That need our products. And so like that passion that you have and the way that we need to frame that story up, because it's one of the most powerful stories I think we've got. And we do that for life insurance, health insurance, and wealth planning every single day.
The opportunity that my wife and I can actually also work together in business. We're a lot of couples today, they're talking about marriages. We just had Dr. Emerson Eggers come out to our conference, and marriages is big in PHP, big in the MoneySmartMovement organization. And so when we're looking at, we have the power to heal economically and to make sure couples and families and business owners are sticking together and removing the biggest areas of concern in their life, which is finances, just because of a conversation. And we're just one or two conversations away from changing that person, so altering, either stopping those generational curses or actually starting to create generational wealth.
And you don't know who that person is.
Yeah.
Like the fact that this guy named Gary Adcock, I'll never forget him. Gary Adcock telling me, I think you could do this. You should come out and see it. And like thank God. Like what would where would I be personally? If I hadn't done that? Like what would that be personally? What would we be at, you just don't even know what impact that person may have on an industry, right? Because that is the future. And giving them that opportunity, to work with your spouse, with your family. There's so many family businesses we have here. And then we're serving so many American families. And there's so many opportunities for females in this business. Like I got super offended at a meeting I was recently at, you and I were just talking about, because they were saying there's not enough females in this business. And that's just wrong. In fact, at PHP and at MSM, the majority of your advisors are female.
Over 50%.
Over 50%.
Over 50%.
And think about that. Like and what an incredible opportunity.
I wish if I would have known sooner because it's just, you don't have many examples, especially when I started. So when I came in, I was like, I'm going to go and find women like me. And I would have these conversations with them. And most of them are really just trying to figure out an income problem. And I said, how long have you been chasing income? Well, just attach a purpose to it. This is a noble industry. And watch me do it. And they would watch me do it. And it was just like this diamond in the rough happened.
Yeah.
And then a movement started.
Right.
And then more and more women. So it's incredible.
It's incredible. Mm-hmm. I was just at a conference. It was a very small group of people at this incredible conference I was at. And one of the people who was there and actually spoke was Reese Witherspoon. And she talked about starting her company, Hello Sunshine, because at the time there was no really 11% of Hollywood movies were had a woman lead. And she was like, I'm tired of playing like this romantic comedy thing. Like, I want a serious role and a woman lead. And they were like, oh, we've already done one of those this year. Well, half of the people who watch are female, maybe greater than half the people who watch. And she's like, hold on, let's figure this out. So she did something about it. She started this book club that then they created, and then she bought the rights to do their movies. And then like where that's gone is incredible, which also inspired me to come back to our team and like, we got to think about, things even differently, because half of our, customers are female. 40% of our advisors, we've got the largest advisor network, they're female. Over 40%. Half of our executive team, 63% of our employees. Like, we need to make sure that we're doing this the right way and making them see that this industry is what it is. It's one of the most amazing industries in the world, and it's not for overweight, balding white guys like me, like Sheena was talking about. No, but like what you guys are doing is like the. I think this is just a movement almost. Like what you guys are talking about, like this has the potential to become an incredible movement, and people are getting out of college, they're getting out of the military, they're getting out of stuff, and they're like, I just don't find fulfillment.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, let us help you show you where you can find true fulfillment that really lasts. And it's not about the money. That's a byproduct.
100%.
It's about the purpose. That's right. And if you can articulate the purpose, man, you can change the world.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for doing what you're doing. Thank you for leading our industry. Like the reason we're so excited to partner with you and so many others is if we can all come together, then we have the resources and support and the technology and opportunity to really change this industry and really open this up. And that's what we're doing. The business that we're in truly is one of the most noble businesses in the world. And this opportunity that every one of us have to go out and serve others. That's why we don't say we're a sales organization. We're a service company. It's on our wall. Literally, if we can serve more people, then everything else takes care of itself. And I truly believe it's one of the most noble businesses that you can ever be in.
Absolutely.
The impact, the generational impact that we can have on so many Americans. We'll never really, it's planting trees that we'll never sit under the shade of. Gary Adcock, when he recruited me, he's no longer with us, he passed away a while back. He never got to sit in the shade of what he planted, right? And think about some of the people that you're like gonna recruit tonight at your big event.
Right.
Like they may do something way bigger than any of us even dreamt of. And God bless them. I hope they do.
Exactly.
Because if that helps serve more people, then there's no limit to what we can do. So I hope you're as excited as I am to see Matt and Sheena and just their story, the way that they came into the business, but their passion. And when you get an opportunity to see them on stage with thousands of people truly chanting, too wide, too deep, we can't be beat. I would put my money on you guys any day, because I don't think you can go. I don't think you can be beat. And but it's because of that purpose that you got about going too wide, too deep. So thank you guys. I love you all so much.
Thank you so
I am
much.
honored. This is a personal one for me, that I am inspired daily by you guys, and anything we can do to help continue to grow, we want to help do that. So keep serving others.
We will.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Thanks everybody. I hope you have an incredible week. God bless you all and take care.